No, no, don't worry about it. Just turn off your screen share. Well, yeah, you can minimize it if you want, but you've got to uh, turn off your screen share in Skype. Go to Skype. Yeah, okay, you're back on. Ah, come on. What the hell? Why does it keep bloody doing shit? Oops, sorry. I gotta mute myself.
Welcome to Earthstar Freedom Friday. I am the Krypton-Knight and I've come today to bring you the latest and greatest information on the blockchain, cryptocurrency, decentralized finance, and how we as the people can get free of the matrix.
Hi everyone, we are back on Freedom Friday with Tony Knight, the Krypton-Knight, and I'm Gerald Lopez. I'll be just moderating and making sure everything goes okay and help Tony along. So today we're going to talk about, or Tony is going to talk about the blockchain and give more details around what is the blockchain and what's the fuss about it and why it's actually so important and really why it's the future of the economy, future of finance, the future of the way we do business in the world. So I hope you get a lot out of this, because over the next few weeks we're going to be explaining more and more so that you really understand what it's about, and then you realize the potential. So good afternoon, Tony, and welcome back, and we are looking forward to what you have to share with us today, Tony.
Thanks, Gerald. It's great to be back. I really look forward to these Fridays now. It's great to be able to connect with everyone and get this information out there, which I think is really critical, um, especially at this time in our history. So I've got some slides this time, which I will share the screen and I can bring up. So this is quite helpful for me because people can actually get to see some visuals, and I can use it as make sure I don't miss anything important and use it as a talking point.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, we're not actually, I'm actually seeing the screen on Skype, but I'm not seeing the screen on Ecamm. So that's an interesting thing.
Okay.
So if you want, could you, if you can do that while you're talking, can you actually save it as a PDF and email it to me, and then I'll bring it up on screen when we have to.
All right.
And if you can multitask, then you can keep talking as well.
How do I save it as a PDF?
Well, at the top there, just save as PDF. Now, why is it not showing your screen on the Ecamm? That's an interesting thing. Anyway, guys, should we play some music or some games? You all good there, Tony? Saved it, emailed it, shared it?
No, I can't see any save to PDF.
File export.
File export to PDF. Okay.
And then, don't worry about it. Just bang the button and email it to me. Yes, the joys of technology and discovering.
Give me an email address to send it to.
jeznz@gmail.com. Da-dee-da. Yeah, so as we were saying, today we're going to talk about the blockchain and what the blockchain is built on, and you know what's the big fuss around it. Basically, without stealing Tony's thunder, the blockchain is an infrastructure on the internet, which is actually a little bit separate from the internet, and it's a structure that allows data to be stored forever and ever, and it can't be changed, so it's immutable. So once it's stored immutably, that means it can be gone, you can go back and recover it, and no one can change it. So this has great importance for a lot of things like transactions, for contracts, for financial exchange, for databases, and although most of us are not aware of it, but actually the big institutions, they're jumping onto this and they're looking at it and exploring it as a way for the future, basically. So now we are told that only probably 0.5% of people are on board with cryptocurrency and the blockchain. So what the value of the cryptocurrency that you see at the moment at 0.5% participation, can you imagine once it goes up to 50%, if say 50% of the world then get into the blockchain and start using it, what is the value of that currency going to be? So we're going to see some interesting times if you get down on if you get into it on the ground floor. So have you sent it off, Tony?
No, I haven't been able to. I couldn't figure out how to do
Okay,
it.
well, I'll leave it with Tony, and I think from what I saw on the keynotes, Tony can explain it. It's not a big deal. It's not a
No.
super long presentation anyway, and I think it's quite simple. The words are quite simple. So go ahead, Tony.
Yeah. I just had a couple of images on what the blockchain could look like in an abstract form. But
Hmm.
yeah, basically, if you would imagine um, a block, if we could imagine the blockchain as being a block in cyberspace full of data, and that block is linked to all areas of um, all areas like it's directly linked to our computers, and the computers with the blockchain, it's like an internet brain, if you like. And the way I liken the blockchain is it's an adaptation of the internet to a more evolved state. So as we are evolving as a species, so is the technology it's mirroring our ability, it's mirroring our potential ability to be a telepathic being. And I believe that's what the blockchain, as we get peer-to-peer transactions, well, telepathy is like a kind of peer-to-peer energy transfer. So I'm very fascinated with the psychology side and the philosophy side. And I'm also getting more interested in the technology side because the technology is just a reflection of our consciousness. And we have an innate desire to evolve as a species. Everything, even the world looks in absolute chaos and looks like we're devolving. We're not. We're evolving. It's just that sometimes chaos is the impetus to enable us to find better ways of living together. So the blockchain, how I would describe the blockchain, it's encrypted money, but it's also encrypted everything. It's a way of transacting, and it's a way of moving anything, information in an encrypted way. We're seeing like encrypted emails now, but the blockchain is going to radically transform everything, the way we transact, the way we share information. Um, it's consensus based. It's consensus based transacting with privacy and transparency. Consensus meaning that we have certain people within the network who confirm that these transactions are correct by acting as nodes. So it's not one single point of contact. It's not a central bank spewing out the information and we have it's only one-way information. It's not two-way information. And we could never verify, we could never act as a consensus to the information they're putting out. It's impossible. It's also been referred to as distributed ledger technology. So thinking of an accounting ledger, and all the transactions are all recorded in a block, and then when that block is filled, then it is validated by the nodes, and then it is basically posted up, and the chain comes in where each block is validated with all those transactions, then they're linked by a chain to the next block. And so everything is contained within that block. It's completely immutable, cannot be changed. That means it's manipulation free. As long as the coding, as long as the system, the way it's set up, is in line with the principles of sharing and the privacy and the transparency, then it will serve its purpose. So there's many different types of blockchain, or two main types of blockchain, one being proof of work, which is what Bitcoin was set up on, where it has miners mining the tokens, which is now actually old energy. It's old technology. Sorry, we've moved on a lot from there, and we also have proof of stake. I'll go into that a bit more. It's secure peer-to-peer transaction. So that's what decentralization is. It means that we can transact amongst ourselves without any other third party or middleman getting in the way of our communications and our transferring of money and that sort of thing. I also see the blockchain as the internet of value. What I mean by that, it's like it's been referred to as Internet 2.0. So like what I was referring to before, it's an evolution of the original internet, really just the internet of information sharing, to now the internet of value. Value being able to send encrypted money, and actually it'll be encrypted everything, encrypted assets, and all sorts of other things that I can touch on. And what this means is, I believe this basically means the potential dissolution of governments as we know it. It's got far-reaching social implications. The blockchain is like a monster that has been unleashed that could radicalize everything in our world: economics, social, the social area, politics, and all other areas where we have been fed a lot of misinformation. That all can be cleaned up. We can get the absolute truth, because no third party is meddling with the information. This is going to take a few years to work its way through, but it's beginning now. So the foundation is the blockchain. The blockchain is really the foundational aspect of what enables cryptocurrency and this whole token economy, as it's been referred to come into existence. We're very visual people. 80% of our sight is related around what we see, and so that dominates our thinking dramatically. So when we see things like Bitcoin pop up, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It actually popped up out of a blockchain that was created underneath. That is where the real power lies. Unfortunately, Bitcoin now has a lot of flaws, but it is the forerunner to this whole technology being able to be created in the first place. So Bitcoin has done a wonderful service of really, it's the genie that came out the bottle. So as I say, the blockchain is the foundation, and within the foundation of the blockchain is the code. And code is very interesting. I've always been fascinated by natural codes. Natural laws and the elements are all filled with code. And just as we have natural codes, those natural codes can actually be translated into man-made systems. And technology is not everything, far from it. We have to have a balance with all these other areas of life, but quality technology like blockchain can have a dramatic influence and effect on the way we live our lives, and particularly in relation to freedom, because to me blockchain can bring about real freedom. So in that coding, like I said, we have coding that's proof of work based, where you have external miners, but you've got to rely on the consciousness of those miners. You've got to rely on who's controlling the miners. The thing is, we want blockchain should be set and forget. Once the coding is set, it's released, cannot be changed, then you're not relying on any single individual. And unfortunately, individuals, particularly when there's a lot of money involved, they are highly susceptible to being influenced. So Bitcoin could be literally kind of taken over through what they call a 51% attack, and that's where they all get together and they basically say we're going to take this over for ourselves, and that would destroy Bitcoin as we know it. Then we got proof of stake. This is the one I'm really interested in because proof of stake enables us to be our own bank. It enables us to earn interest. It enables us to have voting aspects amongst ourselves. Instead of the voting amongst the miners, we have voting amongst the not just the users of the technology, but also these nodes. You have all kinds of people acting as nodes, acting as validators of the whole network. And eventually the mining side can be done all by a touch of a button. So the mining isn't external. There's also another aspect of mining which is done by a home computer. Well, that's another conversation I won't go into, but that facility is there. Also, what makes blockchain foundational is its limited supply of the cryptocurrency or the tokens that are involved. Limited supply creates deflation rather than inflation. Believe it or not, inflation is actually a form of tax. It's not because prices are going up. People have to get that. That's what we see. It comes back to our side again. We see the price go up and they say, well, increased costs and all of this. No, it's a direct response to excess money flooding into the market. That is paper money, fiat money, that is backed by nothing except a government that says you must take this money as legal tender. It's legalized, it's forcing us to take their money. Whereas with blockchain, we can literally create our own money into existence and we can be our own bank, which I'm going to go into a bit more. So it's not only deflationary, but it's also growth orientated in the sense that the value of that currency can go up. So it's acting like an asset, but it is a currency as well. I mean, that is a major breakthrough just in itself. But when you add in all these other incredible attributes that the blockchain offers, you've got exponential benefits. So a growth-orientated token will happen when it's got a real use case, when it gets adopted by people and it actually gets used in the physical world. And we're starting to see it happen in a little way now. I'm seeing wallets where you can start. They're bringing out the currency into circulation slowly through these exchanges where they have their own currency and people have to use that currency in order to buy something, to transact, or to sell. And we're going to start to see this happen more and more and more. So those utility tokens or the currency tokens are literally going into helping power the system. Just as we put gas in our car and makes our car go to get from A to B, we're using some tiny amounts of the cryptocurrency to make sure our transactions go through. And we can buy and we can sell and we can trade. And a little bit of the currency is used. You've seen Binance's token. They have their exchange and they have a token which powers that, and then it gets adopted into the wider community and people hold it as an asset, but they use it as a currency. It becomes kind of like we are dictating that is has value through consent by everyone who says it does, and coming from us instead of from a government. That's the key thing. They can't dictate all the terms to us anymore. So coming to my next title, digital money versus cryptocurrency. Digital money is already here. It's already here. You can go to any bank. We have cash, but all that cash is really the physical product of something that is a whole lot of digits in a computer in a central bank, and they are producing money at the touch of a button. That's how they are printing it into existence, and that has been working overtime in the last year since coronavirus. In America alone, something like a third of all the money that has been printed by the Federal Reserve has been printed in the last year alone. So that has major implications for not just inflation, but hyperinflation. And look, New Zealand is exactly the same. A lot of countries all around the world are flooding the market. It's like the more they feed that money into existence, the more the system is getting perilously close to major systemic collapse. It's like they are in a self-defeating cycle, because they've got no other tools. And even though it's digitized money, but it's centralized digital money, and it's not even money. It's debt. It's debt based. It's backed by the debt which we are the guarantors for. So that's not true money. But cryptocurrency, meaning encrypted money, meaning based on blockchain that is set up with all those attributes that I'm talking about, that is a whole different ballgame. So when the central banks start spewing out their digital money, which is coming, I would strongly urge people to think twice about, maybe you might want to utilize some of it for everyday things, but we should be diversifying into your own cryptocurrency and doing research on finding out what the best use cases are, the ones that are truly decentralized, and then start using that. There's already a huge wave of people doing this, and it's about to become a flood, in my opinion. So decentralization. What does decentralization mean? Basically, it means peer-to-peer transacting. It means a major reduction in the central banker's power and control. They are no longer in the sole source of money, and he who controls the money has all the power, right? But that is changing. So power is coming back into our own hands. Energy is coming back into our own hands. But we work hard for our money, and then we get taxed for it. That is draining our energy. When we can work and we can retain a lot of that money because we're using crypto that is holding its value or growing in value, then everything becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in the opposite direction to the central bankers. It becomes an upward spiral of self-sufficiency rather than a downward spiral of sucking us dry. So this is like, powerful. And then with decentralization, there's all sorts of different applications that can come from it, like decentralized apps. We have apps now, and they're again, we can have an app that we can do peer-to-peer exchange of energy with. Whatever it may be. It may not be money. It might be the just for privacy, because obviously censorship is a pretty big problem in the world right now, I think. And so blockchain is literally ticking off some of these major problems in the world. It's not just about money. It's about our freedom of speech, our freedom of human rights. It's about our social inclusion rather than exclusion. It's about getting information from the source without any other intermediary body like Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, trying to shut us down. That is like game breaker. And then also with our websites. At the moment, who's controlling most of the websites? It's basically Google and the big tech. And when we have a website, it's actually not private. They hold the ultimate keys to our website through the protocols. But we can have decentralized websites. And actually, there's a company called Unstoppable Domains now that are creating .crypto domain names, which are going to be based on blockchain application. That is like incredible, and it will become the norm. Once the genie's out of the bottle and it's based on truth, like we're talking about here, the adoption is going to go like wildfire when we reach the tipping point. And I think that tipping point will probably come when the Great Reset that they're talking about is sort of announced, and we see central banks all around the world, all coordinated, issuing their central bank created currency. So I think that will, if that doesn't wake everyone up, then I don't know what will. So as I talked about before, use case or utility of the token is paramount. It's absolutely paramount. Otherwise, if it doesn't have any use in the real world, it will die. It needs to be solving problems. It needs to be adopted by people. It needs to be, money gains value also by being in circulation. Just like electricity powers up a house through circulating a current of electricity. Currency is also an analogy or a metaphor of that. It's actually speaking of the same thing, but in a slightly different form. So adoption by the people creates its value. It's not decreed by government or central bank. It's the people that decide what is valuable to them, not someone else. That again, so that is going to assist the utility massively, and we are going to see some paradigm shifting events in this world, and I believe it will start this year as well. We're coming to the point where there's going to be some major bombs dropped on the world, and I also believe that we can no longer put our head in the sand and pretend like what's happening in the wider world doesn't exist or it's not happening, or pretend that we can all just take the vaccine and we can go back to normal and It's not going to assist you in the long run by just taking orders from somebody else and just following the herd. We need to sort of be counterintuitive and start using technology like blockchain with our own critical thinking, and we need to start doing some research and getting up to speed with what's happening in the world and why. And this will enhance the utility I'm talking about of using these currencies. People will rush to them when they realize how the world is constructed, because the moment ignorance is what prevents us from delving into it. If we knew the true state of how the world is created, we would overnight become a changed person in a changed world. Some examples of use cases are as a currency, obviously as a pure currency, like Litecoin. XRP has been touted as a currency, although there's a battle going on whether they're a security, but they're definitely a currency. There's other reasons for that which I won't go into now. As tokenized assets or security tokens, these are where they tokenize assets. You can tokenize stocks, you can tokenize a car, you can tokenize a house, you can tokenize anything, and you could create your own currency even if you wanted to. I could create my Earthstar coin. If people wanted to adopt it, would be great. And if enough people thought, hey, I'll accept your Earthstar tokens for your house, well, all the power to you. I'm not saying that will happen, but I'm just giving you an example of what we can do. We can literally create our own currency if we wanted to. But the assets that we own, or all the assets in the world, which are mainly stocks, bonds, real estate, other things like true assets. There's only about 5 true assets. I think and precious metals. Precious metals will be tokenized as well. But you can tokenize other consumable. I mean, it's already starting with NFTs. You heard of non-fungible tokens. So what they're doing now is they're tokenizing or attaching a token crypto value to people's own artwork, or it could be a piece of music, or it could be even a domain name. Even the .crypto domain names are getting traded already, and that could be an NFT. It means you're creating a token value as a one-off for your artwork or for your creation. But I see this going into the whole entire consumer society. Everything will be tokenized. Voting as well, this has a huge governance aspect. Blockchain is not just about moving currency, it's about utilizing blockchain for voting. Secured voting has profound implications. And supply chain, tracking supply chain movements from manufacturer, or even from the raw materials to the manufacturer to, you can track exactly where it is in the supply chain till it reaches your hand. And so that again has profound implications. All these records, as I say, they will be non-manipulated. They will be accurate in real time. They will be validated by people who have, everyone has a great incentive and interest to do that because it's their product or it's their, basically 95% of the people in this world just want a fairly traded world. They want a fair world to live in. So people's natural instinct will be to validate that which is true, which is right and good. Now, I talked about being your own bank. This is like huge in itself. We can literally, so what I'm alluding to is that we can be our own banker. We can literally create money into existence through staking. That means staking a security token. We can be our own bank by creating our own token if we so desired. And if you've got a good marketing campaign, and what you do is you just build it out on these certain blockchains that can handle that, like Ethereum, Cardano, this Theta. Theta is an amazing one as well. There's also Chainlink, Polkadot. There's all these tokens which are literally based around their community they're creating, where they're creating a blockchain community, and they've created the master blockchain code, and then other people sort of attach to their blockchain ecosystem. They're creating ecosystems which, when it's almost going to be like plug and play. You will plug your business or your project into their blockchain, and then you can literally use the token for your trading, which is what gives that token its value. Because then, so they're providing their own use case, and they're providing the infrastructure, and they're providing the ecosystem. And it will become, soon it will become where you literally push a few buttons on a computer and you can create your own ecosystem within their ecosystem. Using your own token, own money, and a decentralized website with decentralized apps, the whole kit and caboodle is going to come. You can create passive income streams as well using this technology. It's crowdfunding. Now we know crowdfunding has started to come into existence in a pretty big way with the internet, and it's so this links in perfectly with blockchain. So crowdfunding, normally if you've got venture capital, you've got the venture capitalists, you have to have a certain amount of worth to be able to crowdfund or put seed capital into a project. But not anymore. This is again getting taken out of the hands of Silicon Valley, and all of those have kept it to themselves. No more. Someone has a really good project, you can use crowdfund that project. It means the little guy can get in on the ground floor on potentially massive projects, and you can have fractional ownership of a stock, of a asset, of anything. So literally, like, you could have a commercial building and you could chop it all up into pieces, and everyone can take a fractional co-ownership in that building using tokens and you literally kind of crowdfunding it. You cut out all the middlemen. I mean, unfortunately, we have centralization, but all the middlemen in between are also controlled by or owned by the same centralized powers. So they clipping the ticket many more times than just once. I can absolutely assure you. Of all the big corporations in the world, there's only 150 odd super corporations that are running 90% of all the resources in the world. That means 90% of the money is basically controlled by 150 super corporations, including the central banks and all the big tech, big oil, big energy. These are all owned and managed by the same very few people, 13 odd families. This technology also is greatly going to reduce the fees. Fees are going to go to very, very small amounts. So not only are we cutting out the middlemen, but the fees that we will have to exchange our money or to buy, sell, will be very, very small. This is taking a lot of money out of circulation for the big boys. They make billions of dollars a day out of fees alone, and that, you imagine how much, because it's a tiny little amount. We see the little fees coming out of our bank account, we think, oh yeah, it's only $1, $2, $3, whatever, but you add all that up, that's a lot of power going to those centralized power. It's all a cumulative thing, so we have to take that power away from them. It's also the fast movement of money. What's coming is going to completely circumnavigate the dinosaur SWIFT system. It's going to be instant. You'll be able to turn currency into another currency, and crypto will sit in the middle as a bridge. This is what XRP and XLM are being designed for. It's a lot of people say to me, XRP, oh, it's all for the big banks. No, it's not. It's for us as well, because it's the bridge between our ecosystem, the crypto ecosystem, and the big banks. It is literally on ramps and off ramps. So it's not just for them, because it's distributed ledger technology, which is built in. So it's giving, there's only so much that they can do to control it. And what it's doing is it's also bringing the unbanked and the underbanked into the wider world economy. And if everyone's got a phone, if they've got a smartphone, there's more smartphones in Africa than just about coconuts, I think. So they can literally, as long as you've got a phone, you can transact. Most of those people in Africa, which is over 1 billion people, a lot of them don't have a bank account. Even in America, there's something like 20% of people do not have a bank account for one reason or another. And then there's all the underbanked people, where the banks are just playing such hardball, so they're squeezed out of the system. So this is another huge social evolution of mega proportions. And just to finish today's thing, I'm just going to go through a little bit of nuts and bolts stuff about what are digital wallets and what do the wallets mean. Well, the digital wallet is basically your record of your bank balance in the cryptocurrency world. They are a snapshot into the blockchain transaction. I talked about all the transactions in a block. Your digital wallet is literally is like a little tiny window into that part of the blockchain where you have conducted your transactions. The crypto is not held in a wallet. The wallet is merely an interface into the blockchain, between you and the blockchain. That's what it is. So nothing is held in a wallet. Where problems come, where scammers come, is when people are transacting, you've got your wallet open, and if someone was able to get into your computer or watching you or scamming you, that is when you could get your money taken. Most money is scammed from exchanges. That's why you do not use money. You do not use an exchange to hold your currency. I could not say that enough. You use the exchange to get the money into your wallet, and then that's it. You're just using them as an intermediary. And I highly recommend that you don't use some of the big ones like Coinbase, because they're all owned by the big guys. The big central bankers have got in on that. Binance is better because it's centralized. But the technology is moving so fast now, you can actually buy your cryptos in the wallet itself and then put it straight in your wallet. Simple. So the technology is getting simpler and simpler and simpler. So you have your private keys. Those private keys are private. You do not ever give your private keys out. It's like giving your bank account with $1 million in it to someone, and they can just raid your account. It's like giving them your bank account and your logins as well. So you do not. The private keys are sacred. You keep those private, but you have a public key or public address which you can give to anybody, and that is solving the problem of the double spend as well. But it means you've got one key for accepting money into your wallet, and you have your private keys, which is for your access. Staking, you can get staking facilities in wallets now. Exodus wallet, Atomic wallet, these are two really good wallets where you can stake those coins that are based on the proof of stake coding system.
Can you explain a bit about staking, Tony? What does staking mean?
Staking means that you are minting your own. You're minting either a new currency into existence, or you're minting more of the currency you've staked into your wallet. It's like digital interest, but you're getting more tokens instead of getting fiat money. You're printing the money. You're printing the crypto into existence by that staking. Just like how in the old system the staking was putting your money in a term deposit, and what you're doing is you're providing the liquidity in your account for the bank to use. This is another critical thing, is that when we stake, we are not providing the liquidity to a central bank authority or a regional bank authority. We're staking it, we're providing the liquidity for the ecosystem that is managing that token. And then they reward us because liquidity is what makes money move around the world. Liquidity is the grease that greases the wheels of everything. Because when you're sending money over and you're asking money to come back, there's an intermediary period where the money hasn't shown up at the other side. So this is based on this convoluted system of, we have to verify that you've actually are sending us the money, and then when we verify that, then we will send you the money back. And for SWIFT, for some reason, it can take a week or 2 weeks for them to do that. It's ridiculous. So what we can do now is we can stake it, we can earn it instantly, and you can then build up your portfolio without having to be constantly buying more. You can just allow this to accumulate, and through the power of compounding, and if you've got a good token that's really being used, which is very likely if it's proof of stake, then it's a fantastic opportunity. Also, loaning facilities are springing up everywhere, and people can use people can literally peer-to-peer loan their Bitcoin or their cryptocurrency so other people can use those funds, and then you earn interest on it that way. Instead of the banks having the monopoly on earning interest on loans, we can do the loaning. We can do the staking and loaning. We can earn interest on two different ways, at least, and I'm sure there's going to be more. There's more coming. And then there's a whole lot of multiple functions that are being added all the time as the tokenization of the economy gathers more and more pace. You're going to see it's going to be more and more in your face. You're going to see more and more of this radical change of the economy from an analog, binary, kind of archaic, centralized system to a much more freer, open, decentralized economy where people can have real involvement on the ground floor. This is going to bring so much more money into circulation. And so against the backdrop of this great reset, which is basically like a great wealth pilfering that they're going to try, they're going to give it a best shot. They're going to try, and it is the great wealth stealing. Against that, we've also got the exact opposite, where we can literally take the power back and stop them from doing that, from invading our privacy and our lives by literally, wearing us into the ground through our slave-driven jobs, taxing us to the max, and then basically, throwing us a few crumbs at the end if there's anything left over. So, without with money being decentralized like that, and with having the blockchain with all these other privacy ways to interact, there's going to be no real need for big government like we've got. Governments are only there to manage the money and to be the PR marketing machine for the big banks. That's basically what they are. They are there as an intermediary in order, as a protection with the legal system that they create, which is totally against our favour. And then on that note, actually, I haven't even mentioned smart contracts. Smart contracts is another huge field where all services will be tokenized as well. Lawyers and the way the legal system is going to be completely reformed. Completely. Accountants, again, these are middlemen that are there to serve the system, not us. There's massive disruption coming that like they've never seen before, in my opinion. And so this is great cause for celebration.
Yeah, and wills as well, real estate titles. And the big thing is exchanging energy for work. So people paying each other in cryptocurrency, and the great thing about that is then the payment is instant, and the exchange is cheap. So not like you said, Ripple and some of these currencies, you can exchange currency. You can exchange from peer to peer for a fraction of a cent. Interesting. Tracy has said a few things. She's stated her opinion. One is those people who are the most wealthy are dishonest. Those who are honest have less wealth. I think that's a generalization, but what do you think? Because I've met lots of very wealthy people who are honest, and I've met a lot of very unwealthy people who are actually incredibly dishonest. So what do you think, Tony, around that?
Yeah, I think that is a very much an oversimplification. I too have met some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. The true wealth that has been created by people's own hand through their hard work, and those wealthy people who have done it despite all the challenges and odds against them in this system. I know I've met many people in my time, you wouldn't even know it, but they were worth multi-millions. They were dressed like, almost dressed down. They were very humble people, and they were beautiful people. I think that there's a small community of people in our world who are controlling most of the money, and yes, they are extremely dishonest people, but they do not speak for the majority of the people on this earth. And I've also met a lot of people who I find are very poor, are poor in consciousness as well. I mean, I know the system is also part of the problem, and they're there because they basically don't know anything different, or they've had some bad luck, or they have been mistreated. I totally agree. Some people have been beaten up by our legal system and the financial legal system in cahoots. But you meet some wonderful people who virtually got nothing, and they'll still give you the shirt off the back. So I think it's dangerous to make generalizations across the board. That you need to look at different people on their own merits. What are they doing in the world? What have they done? Who are they associated with? How did they get their money? What are they doing with that money? Some very rich people are. No, I'm not talking about Bill Gates. I'm talking about other people who are true philanthropists and doing amazing things with their money.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Tracy. But I would say also, let's keep an open mind, because the next question you ask is, how does the law of attraction bring wealth to those who are vibrationally out of alignment with Source, whereas the honest who are more in alignment with Source do not attract the wealth? So why is there this disparity there?
Well, I find it comes down to responsibility, and it comes down to conditioning. It comes down to beliefs, and I think that money is just simply it's like a measuring tool. Money is just one aspect of abundance or wealth, and I think that a lot of very good people struggle to get money because they're still laden with beliefs about money is evil, or it's not spiritual to have money. Or I could reel off gazillions of them, and I really think that it's about being aligned and integrated with. I come back to my Earth Star element thing last week about being aligned with all the elements. I struggled for many years to accumulate any money at all. I worked my butt off. I worked 7 days a week. I was doing things for humanity. I was involved in so many projects, and I could never figure out why I couldn't accumulate money. It was really, so I've been through it. I've been through the eye of the needle on this one, and I had never been more depressed. Some of the times when I had least money, I was very down because I was up against this. It was like the David and Goliath thing, and I had the tax man on me. Even though I had no money, they were still wanting more, and I had people I owed money to, and I had this and that. But I realized that it was my integrity was out, and my integrity was out because I was out of alignment through belief systems that were very deeply buried in me that I was not conscious of. So it's in the subconscious mind. That's what's running our life, not our conscious mind. We can be consciously doing good things, but if the subconscious is running a different program, that is what will win out. And it was only when I hit rock bottom
Tony. Sorry, we've just disconnected with Tony. Let's try and reconnect. Where's Tony?
No.
There you go, Tony.
My battery ran out.
It's a good idea. You're doing what I did last Friday. I thought you would have learned from my mistakes.
I'll make sure I plug it into the power next time. I had nearly full battery, so I thought I'd had plenty.
Right.
But anyway, I've just plugged it in. I don't know.
Okay, give it a bit of time, and then it'll fire up again, and then we'll get the video onto you. But in the meantime, there's a couple of questions before we wrap up. But Tracy asked another very interesting question, because I think this question has been tied up with religion as well.
I'll ring you now. You can ring me now. I'm on online. Just call me back.
Okay. I thought I just called you. Yeah. Okay, I'll try calling again. Send. Okay, go away. Just trying to recall Tony. Sorry about that, folks. We'll get back. There we go. Okay,
sorry
Tony.
About that.
Okay, we're back on. Tracy asked a very interesting question, and which I, as I was saying, there's some religions that talk about that, and so I think it's a very fundamental question for some people. She says, "Can you hear me, Tony?"
Yes, I can. Sorry,
yeah.
I've just
there you go. Oh, now he's moved to the mount. Okay, so Tracy asks, charging interest is usury and is a corrupt way of functioning. Why is crypto adopting this corrupt system of implementing interest for loaning money?
Well, instead of the interest all going to one central point, we can share the interest amongst ourselves.
So,
because it's based on a decentralized system, it's distributed fairly.
Yeah. So this is something that's an interesting question, because I've never understood what is the issue with usury, USURY, and why making money on money is corrupt. Because in fact, I would have thought that the ideal way of financial independence is actually to earn enough money such that the interest you gain on that money will keep you living forever, and then you can choose to do what you want in your life. So
yeah, exactly right. The thing is with interest that's created on money that is produced out of thin air is to me a crime against humanity. So you've got to look at the nuances of interest. Interest that is created by people who their hard-earned money, who may be loaning it to, say, their friend, and they are doing the work to create that money. I think there's nothing wrong with charging a little bit of interest. That's helping that other person out, and it's got to be within reason. But it's not interest that is charged on money that has come out of thin air from one central point. All interest, I believe, the interest that is charged to us via mortgages and the hefty interest on credit cards and all that, that is that is not good for society.
Yeah,
it is sucking so much money out of circulation, which again is all going to one point, but they've done no work to justify charging that interest. That's the thing is, yes. Interest is really, it is a whole subject in itself. There's a lot of other aspects to interest. In the world of crypto, the staking is creating another currency. So you could say the interest is that currency, but what it is, it's actually bringing something brand new into existence. So to call it interest, I don't know, is necessarily correct. But yes, if you loaned your Bitcoin to someone and they charged you interest, if you charge them interest, well, that money is helping them out and it's saving their ass. Well, why shouldn't you expect a little bit of return for the risk that you're taking as well? I mean, this is why I think we need to go back to real financial education, because we have been educated in a way that's serving the system, or we have a belief that there's no other way, and this is the way it has to be, and interest is like money, it's evil. So but I think it's a much more to it than just that.
Possibly, it might come from a time when, there was loan sharking, and from time when people were charged so much interest and they were kept into debt, and they got themselves into these downward spirals which they could never get out of, and so that caused a lot of suffering and a lot of debt for a lot of people. So that whole thing around interest may have come from that, possibly. The
thing is that you've got to look at it's their printing of money. Not only are they charging interest on that, but also the inflation aspect. The more, like I was saying before, the more they print money, they're getting interest, but the more it's going to destroy the very system that they are trying to uphold. So I think that things have got so far out of balance, like including interest. Fractional reserve banking is another one, where they're loaning out so much more money than what they actually hold in reserve. And then when you look at the taxation, it's all linked. Taxation is a use, is literally, it's not, 50% of the tax doesn't even go to our services. It's going to the central banks for using their system. We're being literally taxed to use their system, which is in itself draining our energy and our money. So we're being triple, quadruple, multiple whacked on every level.
Yeah, every which way. Does anyone else have any questions around what we were talking about today? Blockchain, around keys, wallets. I think we'll go more into the nuts and bolts of all those, especially how to get into cryptocurrency, how to look after your cryptos, how to do exchanges, and how to actually make use of the blockchain. I think we'll actually be getting into that over the next few weeks and months. So maybe we've got a couple more minutes if anybody would like to ask any more questions. Thanks for those questions, Tracy. I think those are really kind of provocative questions, and I think they're quite profound ones, and I think they're questions that we are dealing with, a lot of us are dealing with, probably some of us have dealt with all our lives until we actually come to open up a little and actually start seeing reality for what it is. And especially, I think, sorry, I'm butting in here, Tony, but the whole blockchain thing came as a result of, I think, a prediction of the 2008 crash. And because somebody or a group of people apparently called Satoshi, what's his name again?
Nakamoto.
Nakamoto, yeah. Whether it's a group of people, it's a mysterious person, right? And they actually created this and issued a white paper I think it was just before the crash of 2008, and he left a little note in there saying, this is for the future. And so they created this whole blockchain idea in order to counteract what was going to cause the 2008 bubble to burst. So that's why we have a lot of hope around the blockchain, because the actual philosophy behind it was actually to free us from what was causing those bubbles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was indeed. It was. I mean, a lot of people say that it was created by the central banks, but I think, why would they want to do that when clearly the technology is going to be a major disadvantage to them? But I do think they've got their tentacles in so many pies that they can. What they're trying to do is they're usurping it. They are utilizing. They're masters at utilizing things for their own end.
Yeah.
And they're masters of infiltration and taking over any good projects. They will buy them out. They do this all the time. So I think that actually, I believe that this is somebody who had humanity's interest at heart. They may well have been in the system, and I reckon that someone has. This is like, it's like literally letting the genie out of the bottle, and then. So I think it's come from good sources.
Well, someone says, I think it's Afina, yes, who says, Tony, perhaps we can have group sessions and meet together as a group. I'm sure we can all learn so much from you. Indeed. So we can think about kind of breakout sessions and maybe even more personal sessions in the future. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Tracy has come back to say, and thank you, Tracy, for really, for. I don't know whether you want me to share this, but since you've commented, she says, I don't think money is evil. I just can't figure out why I'm not attracting money. I want to become self-sustainable, and not having much luck. And then she talked about, did you mention rebirthing, Tony? So if you did, she would like to talk to you privately. Yes, attracting money. I know, Tracy, that is a very big issue. And as Tony said, it is a lot around our beliefs and around what we've allowed to happen to us over our lives due to our beliefs. So, and as Tony said, I think it's around finally taking responsibility. And I know responsibility is a big word. It's not a moralistic word. It's a word around taking responsibility means exploring yourself and saying, what is it that has stopped me from being able to connect with the source? And
I've got one simple model for this.
Yes.
That may be of assistance. I've come to realize that the source code to abundance is, I believe, is forgiveness. What I call really radical forgiveness. Forgiveness for ourselves, forgiveness is for others, but we can forgive others when we truly forgive ourselves. And forgiveness is really the ultimate form of self-love. So what we first have to do with forgiveness, that's like helping us to clear the decks of all the things that we perceived we did wrong. It's forgiving the other people for conditioning us, for anyone where we feel a wrong has been wrought on us. And when we truly forgive, and I went through this process, I realized that I had so many beliefs I had no idea I even had. And when I started the forgiveness process, oh my God, they all came up to the surface for release. And then when you truly can forgive, and that then we can truly understand and have responsibility, which is the ability to respond to anyone, anything, the world, whatever is then being done to us. We can take responsibility as an action. Responsibility is not a passive thing. You don't get given responsibility, just like we don't get given the truth. We have to work for it. We have to claim it. Same with freedom. We actually have to do some work to have active responsibility. And then when you do that, then the abundance and it goes hand in hand with purpose. When you are truly doing, then you can truly do something that is in alignment with your great spirit, God, whatever you like to call it. If you are truly then fulfilling your purpose on earth, then you're going to be truly abundant.
Good, nice words, Tony. So that's probably all we have time for today. So anything you want to wrap up with, Tony?
No, I just thank you all for coming. I really appreciate you all, and Tracy, I really admire you for asking questions that it's good to engage. I think it's excellent that you are able to ask those questions, be a little bit vulnerable. And Fen, I really love and value your support and how you always seem to turn up. And everyone else who's takes the time to listen to this, this is the real work. This is like a whole new beginning is about to start for the world. And if we can prepare ourselves with this knowledge now, knowledge truly is power. If we've got the right knowledge and we apply it and we implement it, and there's nothing better than implementing this financial kind of knowledge, because it is the basis and foundation of everything in our life. It's our anchor, it's our physical well-being, it's our health well-being, it's our base. It is so much more than just money. Money is just part of the instrument. Wealth and abundance is what we're really after, and that's really balance in all areas of life.
Great. Thanks a lot, Tony. So thanks a lot, everyone. And we'll see you next time. So catch up with us next Friday on Earth Star Freedom, where we'll have a live stream on the other side, on Earth Star Freedom side. So see you next week, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, Tony.
Thanks.
Bye.
See you.